Welcome to the Mystic Hour with Clare Stone and Nathaniel Warren.
Welcome everyone back to the Mystic Hour, where of course I'm joined by Clare in the studio once again.
Hello.
And we've got a really exciting episode this week. It's going to be a cool thing to chat about. I don't know a lot about this person. I know you've said you know quite a bit about this person. And it's just the things I do know are mental. Like, they're crazy. And it's going to be a real fun one to talk about, a real fun one to listen to for hopefully all of you. So, today we're going to be talking about the life of the mad monk, Rasputin. Yes. So, I'm just going to sort of let you take over. I'll sort of join in when I can. But as far as we're concerned, you are the expert of this topic this week. So you take the reins and tell us all about Rasputin. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, so I've always had a bit of a fascination since I was a kid. I've always read up about him and thought, he's a bit like me. Like, he does mystical things and like heals people and that. But obviously there's like more to it than that. Like, so he wasn't necessarily connected to the church. It was more like a sect of like, bit kind of like how now you get like Christian cults and stuff like that. It was more into like this Russian Orthodox culty thing that did all these crazy things that some that you can't talk about on the radio because it's too like not for little ones or anything like that to hear about. But yeah, so he like I think had a family, had children, that type of thing. Lived in a village, very poor. Got involved in this like culty sect thing, and then went to St. Petersburg and got involved in the royal family. The reason he got involved with the royal family in Russia, the Tsars and the Tsarinas and all of that, was because of their son, Alexei, who had haemophilia, which a lot of the royals did back then, even our family here did.
Why is that? Do we know why so many of them did have that?
It's a lot of inbreeding.
Right.
They married their cousins all the time. So that's why they had sometimes, now it's like for different reasons or whatever, but then it was always thought that's the reason.
Right.
So he had that. So he would have blood, like just, his blood was very thin, would bleed out all the time and things. So they said like Rasputin healed him. And, when he was around, he was like he was cured. Like, and all of that type of stuff. And all these women, started going around him and loving him and thinking he was great. And he would like, sleep with everyone's wives and stuff like that. And that's why I think he ended up getting into trouble as well, because more actually than being like the mystical side, I think people don't like anything different. They hate it and they make up stories and all these big things. He was like helping the son, and then people, I think, were saying that they were attacked by Rasputin or, and their husbands came after him. But, the royal family in Russia loved him. The kids, like everyone loved him. But it was just certain people around them that did not like him at all. So then they like tried to assassinate him, like tried to poison him, stab him, shoot him. Didn't die. Drown him, didn't die, and then they shot him, I think, last in like the head, and then like he died. A lot of people, they like look at the body like type thing now at the time and say, actually I think he was just shot in the head. But like he had all these marks on him now beforehand, so they think obviously he was beaten up and stuff before, but he still didn't die.
I know the story of his final assassination, where of course they fed him cakes that were laced with cyanide, didn't die. They shot him loads of times, didn't die, he still ran off. Apparently he was then shot in the head, didn't die still, and they wrapped him up in a carpet and like threw him in the river, and after doing like an autopsy of his body, apparently it would show that he actually drowned rather than dying from the gunshot wound, which is crazy. One of the most durable people ever.
And that's how what they used to do with witches, like back in the day, like the Salem witch trials was the only way to get rid of a witch is if they drowned or whatever, or they rose to the top or whatever. But I always thought that was funny. And then the royal family in Russia, they were the ones that buried him and did a funeral for him. Not even his own family could attend. This is why I find this story is just so fascinating, because it's like they absolutely loved him, but then start to be like, oh no, I don't know if I like that. But that's like even today, people hate psychics, they hate fortune tellers, anything a bit different or a bit weird, they don't like, even though that was their private thing they had with their son. It's like all these people, oh, you shouldn't do that, like get involved in that.
Because the Tsars were really into the mysticism and that side of life, weren't they?
Type thing, and like even like Catholicism and that, they all have like exorcisms and stuff like that. So they must believe in it a bit if they do that. yeah, they were really into that. And a lot of people were, like, even before that, though, they were using psychics and mystics and things. People do now today as well. That's very, very secret and underground. You get people very high up in the world that use psychics, astrologers, you know, all sorts of things. You know, even Reagan in the 80s was using an astrologer. You know, so we could have had a World War III based on an astrologer's chart.
Yeah.
So we were quite lucky, really, that they said the right things, didn't say the wrong things. But yeah, so it's the same with Rasputin. But yeah, like, he was, you know, you see pictures of him and stuff, and he does look a bit of a weird person.
Yeah, definitely.
He does. So you get that coming into the royal court in Russia, and you're thinking, don't ever like that. Like, and you know, all these women, you know, sleeping with him, that, you know, are very high up generals and like wives, you know, you're not going to be very happy about it. So, and that's why, you know, you had their way, because people back then, you know, were so religious, so into stuff like that. Anyone that's wearing a crucifix or has that type of connection with that bit is a bit mystical and healing. And then you think they are sent from Jesus or God or whatever, don't you? So you're going to believe it and want to be around them all the time.
Yeah.
But you do get figures that have happened in recent years that are similar to that. But I don't know why, but I just find them more strange than Rasputin. Maybe because maybe because Rasputin's actually shown that he has been doing stuff that's actually quite good. That's why I don't believe other people.
Right. So I know he was known to be very charismatic, wasn't he? Yeah. So a lot of the public would actually like him, and they almost saw him as a voice for their, like, thoughts into the Tsars and the Russian
to get in there,
royal family. But it was the nobles and the other people with power that weren't actually liking the fact he was claiming a little bit of that for himself.
Well, he was getting too close, and it's like, we've worked really hard, and you've just waltzed in here and said, and just stood next to their son for 5 minutes and healed him, and now, like, you're the greatest thing ever. And I think sometimes people like that, they have too much influence over higher figures, and others think, no, you can sway things too much. I don't like that. I think there's definitely something up with Rasputin. I definitely feel there's more, like,
more at play.
Yeah, and I think he was definitely some type of mystic. Like, I don't think he was necessarily just some random bloke that waltzed up and tried to manipulate everyone. I think there's a little bit of that going on. I think that's why people think, no, he manipulated everyone and he was a fraud or whatever. I actually don't think that, because of things that happen afterwards, which I find very strange. Like, mystics and people like that are renowned for bringing bad luck on people, curses. He was shot, he was tortured, all the rest of it. And to me, I'm like, that is the person you never mess with. You never you never say anything bad about a psychic or a mystic or a healer ever, because it will come back on you. And I do find it strange how just after that, the royal family all died. And I think, and the royal family never came, like, you know, the Tsars never came back ever again after, like, all those years of greatness were taken over by the communists and stuff. And I think, I would bet £1 million on it that he cursed them.
Yeah. He was said to have said that after 2 years after his death, the royal family would fall. And then it was 2 years after that, of course, the royal family did fall in Russia.
Yeah, and he probably manifested that as well. And it's weird, like, you know, the people that hurt him and killed him and stuff, you know, they were all connected. A lot of those people were all shot as well, because if you were connected to them, you were dead. So that's where you get some that would escape and come to this country for, you know, shelter or whatever. But the rest, if you were there, you were killed. That was it. And I think that was his last vengeance. Just find it all a bit strange how it all played into that, and I think that is very a mystic type thing. To have done that. So that's the reason I'm a believer in it. The end bit, rather than, you know, the other stuff. Anyone, you know, could probably say that they could do things like that, but I feel like the end bit for me, I'm like, yeah, you are the real deal. You're not just a fraud or whatever. So yeah, that's why
I think it would take a certain level of I don't know. I just think it would be extremely hard to get in that position if there wasn't something going on. You know, to get in that position right next to the Tsar, and I suppose they were into the mystical side of things anyway. But for them to fully place their faith in him, it just seems that there would have been something going on at the time. They're
like the biggest royal family in the entire world. Back then. Like, it's not like some small royal family, you know, in Scandinavia or whatever. This is, like, huge. So yeah, for someone like that to believe that, you know, someone that's having to deal with different people every day, you wouldn't really care about some random monk like walking in, you know, and do that. Like, I just think, yeah, it's a bit something more into that, really. But yeah, it's strange, you know, he had kids and stuff, you know, and even they're like, yeah, like believe in all and stuff, but they're not weird, like, you know, they're not like strange odd people or anything. They quite seem like, reading up about them, they seem like, you know, yeah, one of them joined the circus or whatever, but that's like still kind of like, you know, not that weird or different, you know, they seem quite together. You know, you would think, you know, people like that, it's handed down, they were a bit, you know, loopy or mental or whatever, but no, I just think there's something in it that's a bit more than that.
So, of course, he was like most famously known for healing the king's son, like you said, or the Tsar's son, sorry. And many people would claim before that even happened, he had all these mystical powers. Are there many stories of the things he would do before that, or is the main one just focused on when he was with the Tsar?
Read up is the one with the Tsar's son. I'm not sure about that before. I don't know if he's had healing properties before with other people. That's how they found out about him. Right. I don't know, because obviously it's always like that mystery around why they do certain things. But I know, yeah, he probably had psychic abilities before that. A lot of healers do have some psychicness about them. Like I'm not like, you know, a big healer or anything like that. Like certain things I can do. Yeah. The thing is, if you're a psychic or a mystic or whatever, you create a lot of energy. And you've got to do something with that energy sometimes. So he's probably thinking on the side, I'll do a bit of healing because I'm feeling a bit like I need a ground now, like I'm a bit up in the air. So he's probably thinking, do that on the side for a bit of pocket money, but actually it blew up like even bigger than probably what he thought to do, because yeah, you do generate a lot of energy as a mystic. Yeah, like me, like some people say, just me standing there sometimes, if I created something, like I just stood near someone's car, like I hate talking about cars because my other they smashed into a wall and he looked straight at me like I'd done it, and I was like, don't know actually if I did or not. I can't even my eyes like zoomed in. Yeah, and you do that, and like a lot of people always get electric shocks off me all the time. When I touch people, they're like, oh, for God's sake, get away from me. Like, I used to do that at my old job quite a lot. I used to like go like that, like to be funny, like just touch them on the side and they get an electric shock. But and airports are the worst. I am so static. Every time I go through the thing, I've got no metal on me at all. I always let the alarm off every time. And it's just quite freaky. The first time I thought, oh, it must be something I've done, me. No. It's that like psychicness.
I suppose with airports as well, you've got people constantly coming and going too, don't you? So you're picking up on their energies.
I'm picking up absolutely everything. And similar probably to Rasputin, he's like that as well. He probably used to give everyone an electric shock as he was going past. But and obviously he was religious to an extent as well. So he had that faith, and like, you know, he believed there was a higher power. So he's pretty drawing down on that as well. And you know, making it a million times more powerful. You know, that's like with the killing and stuff at the end. Probably survived, to be fair, because of all the energy around him. He's probably like, he was probably going into like some weird trance. That's what I do when I do readings. You're kind of half in this world, half in the next, so you're kind of in a trance, and people sit opposite me. Sometimes are like, I can't even remember what I was going to ask you. I feel like I've gone blank. Like, and they say sometimes I felt like I was like asleep like for most of it, like, and then they remember afterwards. So strange. And that's how, that's why I always think with Rasputin's eyes. He's got very magnetic eyes, like hypnotizing eyes.
Definitely.
I've got a picture at home of him that I have in my spiritual room, and I always think, oh, actually I shouldn't look in his eyes like on the picture, because it's very like hypnotizing. He probably did a bit of that, to be fair, as well. Probably trying to get people into some kind of trance to you know, bring them into his world, whatever. But yeah, it's fascinating, you know. I just think he's just very interesting character to find out about, really.
Definitely.
You know, some people probably, you know, have their weird cults to him or something like that, and I don't think I'd ever be like that, because it's a bit strange. But yeah, I definitely feel like there needs to be more looked into about him. It's a shame they cremated him, really. Because that's what they did, because people, like, I don't know if it was the communists that cremated him, because people kept visiting and whatever, so people didn't like have a shrine to him, so they cremated him. I thought, oh, what a shame. They should have kept him in some kind of tomb or something, and then like exhumed it and done more work on it. I think that would have been really fascinating to have done that.
Definitely. One question I do have, and this is just sort of an opinion of yours, But I know you've spoken before about how psychics and other people that are connected to spirit and connected to looking into the future and stuff like that, if they were to try and use that for their benefit, it would backfire against them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rasputin is someone who did use that to their benefit, and for better or worse, was then brought into the highest tier of things you could possibly be, going into parties all the time, like you said, constantly being with other people's wives, and I'm just curious whether you believe there is any sort of backlash to him using that for his own ventures, and that could possibly be why he had such a downfall. Yeah,
probably, because he's using it for personal gain. Although, like it's a bit like the lottery, really. Like, I've got to just go off my own back to do it, rather than going, right, I'm going to zone in and get the numbers, because it's like personal gain, or give anyone else the numbers because it's like, oh, I'll help them out. You can't do that. That's like Rasputin probably a little bit too. He's been sneaky with it, whereas he should have just been like, no, I'm concentrating on these people, that's who I'm here to help, and if I get, paid or whatever, that's fine as well, because you're not taking the mickey, really. But then he was like, I'm greedy now, I'm getting greedier and greedier, I'm going to be with all their wives, I'm going to probably get more money, I'm going to do all this, have fun, it's just, the ego was taken over. That's the problem, I guess, with some psychics and stuff. You see all these things online, all these phone-in things, or I'm doing stadiums now, and I think, nah, you need to keep it real. Yeah, like you can make money, you can, have fun, but to a certain extent, you need to know where the line is, because it's using it too much for personal gain. You're not just using your gift anymore. Like, I get paid for what I do, but, within reason. I'm not going to charge someone like 200 quid for half an hour or whatever, or I'm not going to go in and take your husbands, or whatever, do a Rasputin. Because it's just silly. I'm not going to give everyone lottery numbers, or that's nothing. Betting, quite good at that. But I wouldn't. That's the thing. You just got to stop yourself, because you think, oh, they're going to get me back for that. I'll be ill or something. So I would just stop myself. Whereas, like a normal person, if they're lucky from luck, then that's good. That's fine. But like Rasputin could have done that. Use things to his benefit, and that's probably why he got killed in the end. It's someone, not just the people around him getting annoyed, it's probably like a higher power as well, going, right, they're going to kill you now, but you can just put a little curse on them if you want to. But that's like the Tsars as well. All their subjects were so poor, they were using everything to their benefit, spend, not caring or giving a damn about anyone, sending them off to war at the First World War, and they had nothing. And then they got shot, and it's like, well, what do you expect? It's like, that could also be a higher energy as well, and as well as Rasputin saying you're being punished for this, for your greed. And so, so it works both ways.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
The Mystic Hour. Stars, spirits, and souls.
Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds bringing us back to the Mystic Hour, and of course our mystical chat, which me and Claire do every single month, and it's always a lot of fun. Who knows what we're going to talk about? Of course, today was more focused on Rasputin than anything else, but I want to branch off a little bit from that now, and pick up on something you said earlier that I found really, really interesting, which was the use of psychics in power. Of course, you were talking about some examples earlier that people have been using astrology and psychics to, help these people in power. I was wondering if you had any other examples of people that are doing this, or have been doing this.
Yeah, there was one that I was quite intrigued by, actually. That was Winston Churchill.
Okay.
Don't know if you ever used them at all. Probably, there's some people say don't believe in it and all the rest of it. Yeah, the Witchcraft Act was in place until 1953, I think. I thought that's like in our time, technically.
Yeah.
That's when, our grandparents were like teenagers. How weird is that? And it was Churchill, or someone like that had it overthrown. I was like, that's a bit weird. Like, why would you do that? You just keep it going, wouldn't you? Because, you know, they weren't killing people or anything like that. And it was just kind of a bit like, you know, how you can have sheep go through the centre of London, can't you, on certain days and stuff like that. That's still a law that's in place. You would just, you know, just leave it to the side. But yeah, who's only one other one I know? I know our royal family, certain members have used psychics and stuff. Princess Diana used them all the time. Right. Constantly. She reminds me, actually, she's like a Tsarina. Like, she would use them to her own benefit and things like that. And I always find her life, like, just crazy. Her, like, how she died and stuff. But, yeah, she would use them all the time. I know Prince Charles is, like, very well, not Prince Charles, King Charles now. Spiritual person. But, yeah, a lot of people obviously will never say. You know, people I see in my work, people would have a stroke. If they knew, like, they'd be thinking, what? Like, and I said to a client of mine the other day, I said, people keep it a secret. They're all like, oh, I'd never see a psychic, I'd never see a medium. And I'm like, well, why are they coming to my house then all the time? Or they like see me in public and like put their hand up, and like no one knows that they've done that. And that's like, you know, you get a lot of psychics all over the UK, all over the world, that are doing big stuff for like police. You know, in America, like big bureaus use psychics to find bodies or people that are killers and things like that, because it's their last resort, because they've tried everything else. So they usually do try everything else first, and they're like, so well, I might just give it a go. Someone's told me they're good, and then they do. And and like, even with the lady that died a few months back, was found by a psychic, that Nicola Bully thing. He found her straight away. They've been searching for weeks and weeks and weeks. He just walked past, found her, because he said, I knew she was there. I was being drawn to her. So yeah, like, it's funny, you spend all that money, thousands and thousands of pounds, but actually just got some little psychic sat in their room that could actually just do the job for about 40 quid, and it's like, job done. But yeah, you get a lot of like high figure people using them. Like politicians, police, royals. Do
you think a lot of that is predictions, or do you think a lot of that is manifesting things?
Yeah, I think it could be more prediction. Yeah. Manifesting's a little bit different. You know, I manifest things sometimes, that you make it, you trigger it in your head, and it happens. That can be true, but a lot of it's prediction based for other people. So yeah, you know, you could try and manifest it for someone, but it just takes a lot of work. Right. So a lot of us are quite lazy. Can't be bothered. It's just like well, the energies from above, just tell me what's going to happen, because I just can't be bothered, like, to make it up, or like to get it going or whatever. So yeah.
So I assume that would be like a lot more energy sapping, would be manifesting something rather than
someone's gonna make you pretty damn angry, or you were at your last little bit. You were like, oh my god, I'm going to need to manifest this, because this is just like ridiculous. But very rare. Like a lot of us, just like, it just rolls off the tongue. Like, you just predict things like all the time. But like I said to someone the other day, it's like, it's just so strange how you see things, and then it just happens. And you just say, oh. Like, it's weird when you say it, because you just say it so innocently, and or you just say it without even thinking, and then it comes true. Like, I could be doing a reading for like a prime minister or something, and it would be, that's going to happen. But I would just treat them the same as I would treat you if I did a reading, and they'd be like, oh, okay, see like how that goes. Like, it's just weird how it works and stuff. But you never know what's going on in the world. Like, a lot of people don't realize a lot of their leaders, or a lot of their people in authority figures are using other methods, let's just say, mystical, astrology wise. A lot of people do use astrology, actually. Henry VIII did. They used to have an astrologer. Well, it was on the Crown, actually, weirdly enough, the other day, how the Queen didn't even realise she had an astrologer. Like, all these list of people that were working behind the scenes that the government were paying for, the Crown were paying for. But yeah, Henry VIII had an astrologer. Wow. And a lot of people, they say that they think the royals and people like that need to have babies born on certain times or on certain days, because it's like better. Like Prince William, for instance, born on the solstice, 21st of June. Bit strange. Yeah. So yeah, like I do find it weird how certain people are born on certain days in that family. A lot of Cancerian energy. the Queen was a Taurus, so that's quite a strong sign as well. So yeah.
So do you reckon there's still quite a lot of weight being put into the astrological sign?
Yeah, they're so people like that are so superstitious as well. All those rituals they do, so all these things we watch on TV in the churches and everywhere else. Oh, that's a tradition from like years ago, and I'm like, yeah, that's like a mystic tradition. That's like you think it's going to be bad luck if you don't do it.
Right.
That's why you're doing it.
Right.
So that's what I do as a psychic. Everything for me is like superstitious, like everything. It's like, oh, don't do that because that'll happen. But that's what those types of people are like. They've got all their traditions and rules because they don't want anything to upset the balance, so to speak. That's probably like what we were talking about with Rasputin with the Tsars and stuff like that. You know, they're deep in mysticism because of their like superstitions.
Yeah.
They're scared of different things happening, and yeah, like you get a lot of cultures. I was reading someone from Eastern Europe a while ago, and they gave me money in my hand in coins. They had a crucifix on. They were doing little symbols and things like that. And I thought, yeah, that's like based in like old traditions and mysticism. And then I had another one the other day. So I can't give you money in your hand or on the table. So she put it on the floor.
All right.
She's from a different place.
Right.
And she said it's bad luck if I do that. But yeah, you get a lot of stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I find it so like captivating to find out how all these different cultures through history too have all delved into this mystical side of things. Like we speak, of course, when we do the full moons and the new moons about different, you know, religions and different times in history when people would have put a lot of thought into these new moons and what they represent. Are there many other characters throughout history, just staying on the theme of different people in high places, such as Rasputin, that would have been right as a figurehead for this stuff next to a high power?
Yeah, there was another one. I can't remember his name now. He was Russian as well.
Okay.
And he had involvements, I think, in the royal family in Russia and stuff like that. So yeah, you've got that. Who else was there as well? I can't remember now. But it's all been changed over to like religious figures. So what you used to get was you would have like a mystic or a psychic or an astrologer that would follow them around, all these people. And then it just changes to their like the Archbishop of Canterbury or whatever it is instead. It's the same thing.
Right.
It's just that you're just using religion now instead of like what they used to use.
Right.
But yeah, you would, I can't even remember their name, but one of them definitely was Russian, I think. And he had a lot of say and sway over things. Well, you get it with like King Arthur, for instance. I know it's like a little story, like Merlin.
Yeah.
Like the same thing. Like, but I think, well, where does that come from then? Oh yeah, because they've been doing it for years in normal life. So yeah, you get like little witchy figures like in medieval times or pre-medieval time, like in Viking times and stuff like that. Course. They'd always be there. Like if you ever watch Vikings, they have the psychic guy in the tent. And, you know, Ragnar and people like that would always go and visit him for answers or their future. They wouldn't speak to like a priest or another, you know, religious figure. They would always go to the psychic first to see what's happening. And yeah, or they'd see him in their dreams and like, oh my God, something's going to happen in a minute. And I love that because that is how people used to work. And I wish they worked like that now.
Yeah, yeah.
I could do that. The psychic guy on there, like telling everyone.
The guy in the tent.
Yeah, but they'd still make. This is the thing. They'd still still live their lives. This is why people worry about psychics and stuff. Like it's like you're just going with what they're saying, and it's like no, normal people don't. They still go about their normal lives. They just kind of live in a bit of dread.
Yeah.
They know it's going to happen. So when people use it like that, it's fine. It's just you do get some maniacs that, you know, like believe in it, but then just take it too far. And do crazy things. And that's probably what was happening in Russia at the time. They probably thought, oh, they're just going too far with it now. Like, you know, yeah, he's probably is helping and being genuine, but she's just probably going absolutely, you know, too much over it and, you know, believing too much into it, you know, when it's more simpler than it actually is. So, yeah, I get that with my job quite a lot where people... You know, I just say, you know, just take it as it is. Just go about your normal life and see what happens. And then you get someone like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Like, or panic. And I'm like, you're not the type of person that should see a psychic because, it won't flow as well. You could go back on your path. Something else could happen if you look too deep into it.
Yeah.
So that's why I say just enjoy it, and yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Interesting. Welcome back to our third and final little break, or little segment of the Mystic Hour, and of course our mystical chat this week. We've been speaking about all kinds of interesting stuff over the past 50 minutes now or so. We've been speaking for quite a while. Yes, we've been speaking about Rasputin, other important characters and people throughout history of psychics and astrology. I know in time there was a time, I know Drew and Callum have spoken about this on the podcast before, where there would have been shamans that would have been so highly respected that they could have walked onto a battlefield with two opposing sides and everyone would stop if they told them to.
Yeah, that's like Viking, that everyone respects it, that person. It also can be an unlucky thing as well. Like, so for instance, like even, you know, when I was watching Vikings, sorry, I keep referencing, I love Vikings.
Great show.
Their shaman type guy there, the whole village were nearly enough, like, you know, killed. He's left. Yeah. If you kill someone like that, again, like Rasputin, you can't, because you'll be cursed, you'll be doomed. Like, they bring in like hellfire. It's like that. Yeah. It's like sometimes you can control two worlds, like heaven and hell. They're just dictator of that. So it's like, I'll give you good luck or bad luck. Which do you prefer? So yeah, you could walk into the middle of a battlefield and be like, oh, we'll leave him alone. It's fine. Yeah. That would be like the same as, like, I don't know, killing a crow or a black cat. You'd think, no, like, God, if like me or my boyfriend or whatever did that, I'd be like, oh my God, like, we're doomed. I'd have to hide. I'd be like thinking someone's going to be after me. Yeah, so it's like similar to that. Like, you just leave them alone. That's why I always say, always be nice. Yeah. Psychic. Never be horrible. However good or bad you thought someone was, just leave it alone. Yeah. Beware at your peril.
Yeah. With that in mind, like, I know, again, just finishing off the topic of the people in high places, do you think that's a lesson to be learned, or maybe something to be wary of if you were putting certain psychics in these high positions, because they do have the power to make everything go bad if they wanted to? Yeah, you've got to be really careful. You've got to have a good one, a nice one. So if you said, oh, I'm okay now, they'd be like, oh, that's okay, you're a nice person. It's like, right, you're sacked, that's it, or you're going to be drowned. Yeah, watch out, like, the demons will rise. So yeah, you've always got to be wary. So sometimes it's best either, you know, if you're going to have one, a very nice one, or if not, you know, maybe just don't have one at all. Yeah. It just depends on the person or whatever. But yeah, they would need to be very, very wary of that. That's why some people that do use it, to be fair, have ones that are very good. You know, I know that Princess Diana used to use Sally Morgan quite a lot. She's a psychic medium. Okay. She's good. She's nice. Like, I've seen her live and stuff. But yeah, other ones can be a bit, like Rasputin types, a bit creepy. Yeah. So yeah, just maybe leave them to one side. Yeah, definitely. But sometimes they follow you, though. You know, you do get some certain psychics and stuff. I heard one story about someone following a celebrity, and they were really nasty to her and told her to go away because she had a message for her, which I'd never do. I'd never accost someone and send them a message, but she did that. The celebrity told her to go away, so she cursed her. She said she cursed her, and this celebrity in the moment has had nothing but bad luck. Wow. Terrible bad luck. So I think, yeah. Like, just be careful of who you're speaking to. Yeah, the thing is, it's not necessarily out of sheer evilness or anything like that. It's more to do with respect, because you're in the middle of both worlds. You're bringing in messages because you've been given that gift, so to speak. You shouldn't throw it back in someone's face. Yeah. So yeah, like in the middle of battlefields, and as advisors and stuff back in, you know, the olden times, they were highly, highly respected. You go to everything for them. A lot of them would still be paid and stuff, but not out of like greed though. A bit like me, just enough, not like too much. Yeah. It's more of a respect thing. Yeah. It's just that everything's about respect. When I do readings for people and I say, oh, they're very smartly dressed or whatever, and they do it out of respect,
because I'm bringing them through, and I don't have to bring them through, even though I can see them for you.
Right.
So they'll always dress nicely. They'll bring flowers or send me feathers or do nice things like that to say, I respect you. And because you respect me, it like works both ways. So that's why people down here a lot of the time aren't respectful to others. Like spirits are respectful. So that's why they get it and they get bad luck.
Right.
So yeah.
Interesting. I think it's interesting that, like you're saying, there are people out there that will still use that to their own benefit.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something where, like we said earlier, the reason you don't see that as too much of a pattern throughout history is because if people are trying to do that, the natural order of things will straighten them out and will give them the justice they deserve?
Yeah. That's why, you don't see, too many Rasputin, Tsarina type things and stuff like that. It's probably why Putin's still going, because he hasn't had his Rasputin yet. That's put a curse on him.
Yeah.
He's probably like, yay, I'm still going.
Trying desperately to avoid it.
He's like, I'm not going to get in contact with a witch. I'll say that. That's why. But that's the thing, though. People like that, though, to be fair, they always get their comeuppance in the end, whatever way. That's why I never worry. Like, people always say to me, oh, aren't you worried about this? That's why I'm so relaxed about everything like that. I just sit back and just relax, because I'm like, no, I'm not worried. Because I know what's going to happen in the end to them. Like Hitler and people like that. In the end he got trapped like a rat, where he was. Although that was the Russians that got him, So, you never know, they probably have that mystic power surrounding them. But, they always get their comeuppance in the end, all these types of people. It's just the natural, order of things, whether or not it's a psychic thing or not. It's always a higher energy or the energy around you that pulsates to sort everything out.
So it's just basically a matter of time on whether these sort of like dark forces throughout history will get their comeuppance, as they always seem to.
You always get good things and bad things. You have to. That's what I believe as a psychic and as a medium. We're in the in between here, between like heaven and hell type thing. So we're always getting bad things and good things. That's why people say, well, if anything was, angels existed or spirits existed, why do all these bad things happen? I'm like, well, because you haven't passed away yet. Because you haven't gone, we're in the middle. So you've got to deal with it. And that's why, you do get people in the middle, like, me probably, that live in one world and the next world, like, that, try and sort it all out. Yeah. Or, or just don't worry about it. I went to a group ages ago and they were all panicking about what's going to happen to the world. It's going to be a mess. I'm like, do you think I'd be sat here right now if I was worried? You're just not. I think, what's the point in worrying? I'll just sort it out when it happens. So,
Here's a final question to end off before we wrap up today's show. If you were put in charge, right, of hiring the next psychic that was going to be in a big, position of power, what would be some things you would look out for to maybe appoint the right person rather than getting someone bad in?
I would look out for their mental state, because sometimes with some people that I've seen are a bit crazy. Right. You need someone calm, collected. There is rules, I would say, in like has a good routine, like work ethic, isn't like high in the sky, like a airy fairy about things. Very, like, with me, I'm very regimented with everything. I'm very structured in how I see things. If I don't see it, then I won't mention anything, or if I'm a bit unsure, I won't mention it. I'd only ever say things I'm certain about, so they would need that. But not one of these people that tries to make mates with everyone. Right. Around your circle as well. That's what I'd never do.
Not a people pleaser.
Yeah. Or even a people person, to be fair. Just like dealing with that one person, and that's it. Doesn't have relationships here, there and everywhere with lots of different high up other people, because you can't be trusted if you do that. And some people you do get cannot be trusted. So you need to have someone you can trust, that they are yours and nobody else's. Yeah. They don't flip for, like Rasputin. He was everybody else's as well. See, he should have just stuck with one thing, and then he wouldn't have got into so much trouble then. Yeah. But just someone who's very calm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. I think that's a good place to leave today's chat. Spoken about so many interesting stuff today, interesting characters throughout history, of course, and yeah, it's been a real mystical chat this week, of course, focusing on Rasputin as well. So we are going to come to the end of today's show now. Don't forget to join us on a Tuesday when we always do Tarot Tuesdays, or further Thursdays and Sundays, where of course we always do our mystical hours. Thank you, Claire, for joining me in the studio once again, and yeah, we shall see you all on Tuesday. Until then, goodbye.